Hello, how are you everyone? I hope all of you are fine. So let's start today's lab. So today's lab is identification of organic acid. What is an acid? We know. And what is the difference between organic acid and inorganic acid? I hope all of us know that as well. And basically the organic acid is a little bit weaker than, not little bit, a lot of weaker than the inorganic acid. So some examples of the inorganic acid like sulfuric acid, what we normally use, hydrochloric acid, phosphoric acid, these are all inorganic acid. Okay, what are the organic acid? Acetic acid. Okay, this is an organic acid. So, but there are different types of acid. As you can see from here, from these examples, this is called the monoprotic acid because it gives only one hydrogen ion as an acid. Okay, this is called the biprotic acid because it gives two hydrogen ion, and this is called the triprotic acid because it can give three hydrogen ion. So this is also a monoprotic acid. This is weak acid though, but these are all strong acid. So that means this is monoprotic acid. These are two, we can together call it the polyprotic acid, which can give more than one proton in the hydrogen, more than one proton in the water solution. Then it's called the polyprotic acid. Okay. So there are two different, like we can classify as monoprotic and polyprotic. In the polyprotic, 2, 3, 4 all are included. So monoprotic acid and the polyprotic acid. Okay. So there are different types of acid. And today's lab, we will try to find out the organic acid. There are some organic acid, those are also monoprotic and polyprotic. You have a list of organic acid in the page number page 7 of 7. In the page 7 of 7, you have a list of organic acid. Okay, a lot of organic acid there. Some are polyprotic, suppose fumaric acid, polyprotic acid, malic acid, oxalic acid, these are all polyprotic acid. Monoprotic acid there are lots of examples: acetic acid, chloroacetic acid, lactic acid. These are all the monoprotic acid. Okay. So what we will do today? We will find out the identification. That means we will find out which acid is present, which organic acid is present. We will find out. So that means it is a qualitative analysis. As I said at the beginning of the semester that we actually divided the analytical chemistry in two parts. One is the qualitative analysis, another one is the quantitative analysis. What is the qualitative analysis? That means it finds out what is present. What is present? This is called the qualitative. Suppose sodium chloride. Okay, whether sodium is present or chlorine is present, chloride is present, we will try to find out, and that is called the qualitative analysis. And another is how much or how much is present. Okay, that means how much of sodium is present and how much of chlorine is present. Okay. So in this lab actually we will use the quantitative. That means we will use the quantity. What is the quantity? We will use the Ka value, okay, dissociation constant, and we will use the molecular weight. So we will find out the dissociation constant and molecular weight. So these are actually quantitative. Right? These are the properties. So quantitative, we will find out the quantitative, and we will use that to find out what organic acid is present. Clear? So you will use also the quantitative analysis to find out the unknown organic acid. Okay. So as we know, the normal acid base. So normal acid, in case of normal acid base titration, what do you see? So this is the volume of sodium hydroxide or base, any base, and this is the pH. Okay, what happened? So the acid pH is normally very low. Okay, So once it gets into the equivalence point, it's not that much flat actually. So once it gets into the equivalence point, it sharply increases and then like this, isn't it? This is the pH graph for the normal acid base. If one proton is present only, right? But if two protons is present, then what will happen? That means in case of polyprotic, what will happen? In case of polyprotic, you see the same thing, but if there are two protons present, suppose sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So then what will happen? First, sodium hydroxide or whatever, if we give, first what will happen? Sulfuric acid will be dissociated to the H plus ion and hydrogen sulfide ion, right? Then later on, this one will be dissociated to the H plus ion and SO4 2 minus sulfide ion. Okay, so two times dissociating. This one is dissociating here, okay, and this one is dissociating here. Okay, so two times dissociating. So that's why we will have two equivalence points. Clear? From this equivalence point, we can find out the Ka. If we call it this one Ka1, this will be Ka2. Okay, let's see. From the book, you have an example. So you understand that the monoprotic acid will have a one equivalence point and polyprotic acid will have two equivalence point. Okay, like if it is biprotic, two equivalence point. If it is triprotic, it's supposed to give you three equivalence point. Okay, like phosphoric acid. So in the book, you have an example, that is H2O. This is an acid, H2A, and it is dissociating into H plus and Ha minus. Clear? So this is, we call the Ka1 or first dissociation constant. And later on, what is going to happen? This Ha minus is also dissociating to the H plus and A2 minus. Clear? So this one we are calling a Ka2 dissociation constant. So from the definition of the dissociation constant, how can we find out Ka1 equal to the concentration of the product, right? So the concentration of the product multiple of the concentration of the product divided by the concentration of the reactant, right? We know that. Now have a look at this. I am removing the concentration bar. So now take a look at this. So at the beginning what happened? There was, suppose, hundreds of this. At the beginning you haven't started the reaction. Then how many of this present? 0. How many of this present? 0. Right? When all of the H2A converted to the H plus and A minus, at that time how many was present? 0 of H2A is present. How many of H1 present? Hundreds of this, right? And how many of these? Hundreds of this. Clear? But when 50% of this dissociated, that means 50, like 100 was there and 50 reacted. So how many present? 50 was present. If 50 of them is dissociated, then 50 of these H plus will be present and 50 of these Ha minus will be present at the same time. You got it? I believe you got it. So if at the halfway point, what is going to happen? The concentration of these is going to be equal to the concentration of Ha minus. Concentration of these is going to be the concentration of this Ha minus, right? Then we will only focus on the concentration of the hydrogen ion actually. So Ha1 equal to nothing but the concentration of hydrogen ion. Okay, where at the midpoint of the equivalence point, midpoint. See, 50%, midpoint of the equivalence point. How it is midpoint? How can you find out the midpoint? So if it is a curve and the equivalence point is here, if the volume is 10 ml, so the equivalence point is in the 5 ml. Okay, 10 divided by 2, midpoint 5 ml. Clear? So we know that at the midpoint the Ka, at the half of that means at the midpoint the Ka1 is equal to the concentration of the hydrogen ion. If we take log on the both side, minus log on the both side, minus log of Ka1 equal to the minus log of hydrogen ion, right? So it will be actually pH equal to the minus log of Ka1. Okay, so pH, that means at half point, what about the pH? Okay, that will be the minus, suppose if the pH is 3.7, I don't know, just random. So minus log of Ka1 is equal to the 3.70. Okay, so from here we can easily find out the, just and bring this minus to here, 3.70, then log of Ka1, then Ka1 equal to anti-log of, that means log inverse of minus 3.7. So you will get the equivalence point. You got it? You got it? This way we can find out the first equivalence point. So this calculation you need for the calculation of this lab. Okay. So the same way I am just showing you so that you can see a little bit. If you don't understand, you can go back and see again. Okay, so this is the Ka1. So now come to the Ka2, same point. So if you have two equivalence point, one is here, another one is here. Okay, same thing. Okay. By this way, same way, you will see that the Ka2 is nothing but the antilog of the volume, but here the volume will be here, right? How? So the first equivalence point, the volume of the first equivalence point plus the volume of the second equivalence point divided by the 2. So the volume will be around here, right? Around here. Okay. So the pH of that point will be here. Suppose if it is 7.2, I don't know, just random, 7.2. Okay, you got it? So here for the Ka2, how can you find out the hydrogen ion concentration? To find out the hydrogen ion concentration, you need the volume in the middle point. I am doing it again if you don't understand. So the first one I am removing, just I am keeping the second one. Let me write it down. So here HA minus, this is going to dissociate and it is going to form HA plus A2 minus. Okay, so at the beginning, same as this is called the Ka2. At the beginning there was hundreds of these and 50 of these, 0 of these was present, 0 of these was present, right? So after halfway point, 50 of this present, 50 of this present, and 50 of these also present. Okay, so Ka2 is equal to the concentration of the hydrogen ion and the concentration of the A2 ion divided by the concentration of the HA minus. Okay, at halfway point, this concentration and this concentration are same, so we can cancel out these two. So Ka2 is equal to the hydrogen ion concentration. So if we take the log on both sides, then it will become pH is equal to the minus log of Ka2. Okay, that means Ka2 is equal to the antilog, that means log inverse minus pH. So you got it? So for this one we need also the pH at half equivalence point. So this pH, that means the halfway, that because 50% of this present. So from the graph, how can you get it? So here is the HA only, right? Here, sorry, H2A. H2A. Here only H2A was present at the beginning. Okay, here no H2A, only H plus and A minus. Sorry, HA minus. Okay, but here in the midpoint, so this is the equivalence point, but in the midpoint, what was present? 50% of H2A, 50% of H plus, and 50% of HA minus. Clear? But here no H2A, all H2A converted to the H plus and HA minus. But again here no HA is present, only H plus and A2 minus here, from here, because this is the equivalence point. After this point no HA minus was present, but at the midpoint what was present? HA present, H plus present, A2 minus present, half of this, and half of HA minus also present. Clear? So you need to find out the volume of this to find out the pH of this. How can you find the volume? You can find the volume of the second equivalence point. Okay, if we call it V2, and if we call this one is V1, so V1 plus V2 divided by the 2. So this is the volume at the half equivalence point, and the pH of that point is this. Clear? So if you know the pH of this, then you can put this pH here, and then you can get the Ka2 also. So by this way you can get the Ka1 and you can get the Ka2 of a monoprotic. If it is a monoprotic, only Ka1. If it is polyprotic or biprotic, for this lab we will only give you the biprotic acid and monoprotic acid, not tri or something else. So if we give you this Ka1 and Ka2, okay, so you can get this Ka1 and Ka2 from the pH. Okay, so you already know how to find out the Ka1 and Ka2. So to identify the organic acid, we also need to find out the molecular weight. Okay, so let's see how to find out that molecular weight. So you will get, as I said at the beginning, that we give you actually either monoprotic or biprotic. So if it is a monoprotic, you know it should be look like this, and if it is a biprotic, it should be look like this. Okay, so if it is a monoprotic, from here you can easily find out the volume of sodium hydroxide, isn't it? So you can find out the volume of sodium hydroxide. Suppose if it is 10 ml, okay, you also know the concentration of the sodium hydroxide. What it is? 0.100, so say for example 1001. Okay, so what is the number of mole of sodium hydroxide you used? That is, so 10 multiplied with 0.1001, this number of millimole, isn't it? Or you divided by the 1000, it should be mole. Okay, this number of moles of sodium hydroxide is you used. Okay, we will discuss later on at the experimental part. So here for the acid, unknown acid, we will use the 0.1201 gram of the unknown acid. Okay, so if you take 0.1201 of the unknown acid, this is actually for the monoprotic acid, this is actually same as the number of moles of this sodium hydroxide, isn't it, for the monoprotic acid. So whatever the acid you are adding, this is this gram of acid you are adding, okay, unknown acid, and this is neutralized by the sodium hydroxide at 10 ml, and this concentration is this. So same number of molecule will neutralize the same number of molecule of sodium hydroxide will neutralize the same number of molecule of the acid, right? So this is same as the number of mole of this. Suppose if you do the calculation, suppose if it is, I don't know, 1 into 10 inverse 4 around, I am not sure, you have to do it. So if this is equivalent to the 1 into 10 inverse 4, okay, so what is the 1 mole equivalence? What? So just this divided by this, okay, then you will get the molar mass of the unknown if it is monoprotic. Okay, clear? So number of moles you are getting, you just divided that number of the gram with that number of moles, you will get the molar mass of the unknown. But if it is a biprotic like this, then what is going to happen? So same actually, but here instead of, if you take this point, it will be same because this is the first equivalence point. But in practical life we see that it's supposed to be this sharp, but it is not actually that sharp. It look like this type. Okay, it's very difficult. In most of the cases, it's very difficult to find out the exact end point in this case. But you can find out this point is mostly very sharp. Okay, this point is mostly very sharp. So volume of sodium hydroxide you will get, right? You know the concentration 0.1001. Okay, so you know the volume of the sodium hydroxide, you know the concentration of the sodium hydroxide. This is the pH, right? You know the, and here actually what? Here actually twice the amount of the acid, 2 equivalence points. So here suppose H2A. So first it becomes H plus and HA minus. Then later on it becomes H plus and A2 minus. Okay. So here actually we needed twice the amount of the sodium hydroxide. So first equivalence point is here, NaOH. This is the second equivalence point. So it needs actually twice the amount of the equivalence point, twice the amount of the number of mole of the H2, twice the amount of the number of mole of the H2, right? So here what about the number of moles you are getting? How? Just volume. Suppose if it is volume is 25 ml, if the volume is 25 ml and you multiply with the 0.1001, what about the number of moles you are getting? Maybe 2.5 into 10 inverse 4 mole. I am not sure. You have to do it, this calculation. So if you are getting this is actually twice the amount of the number of moles of this, right? So what is the number of moles of this? This is U divided by the U divided by 2. So this you will get the number of moles of H2A or biprotic acid. What about the biprotic acid will be given? Biprotic acid. Clear? This is the number of moles of biprotic acid. Same right now. So if this is the number of moles of, if I divide it, if this is the case, then it will be 1.25 into 10 inverse 4, right? So, and we used 1.201 gram of that acid at the beginning. Okay. So as the first case, just divided this divided by this one, you will get the molar mass of unknown acid. Clear? Now let's see how to just see how to do. If you don't understand, just go a little bit back and see it again. Okay. So let's talk about the experimental part right now. So let's see actually the identification of what is the experimental procedure for the identification of unknown acid. It's very simple. First, what you need to do, you have to weigh out 0.10 gram of unknown acid. Okay, this should be in the powder form, and we normally give it to you like for the different student we give different sample. Okay, so since it's an unknown, you have to actually find out the unknown and transfer to 100 ml beaker or conical flask. Okay, so you have taken 120 gram of the unknown acid and transferred to 100 ml beaker or conical flask. Okay, so if this is the conical flask. Okay, so you have taken this gram of the unknown acid and transfer it to the conical flask. Then here you have added 20 to 30 ml of the water. 20 to 30 ml of water. Why? You just added so that to make sure that these things dissolved already. Okay, And since, as I said, the organic acid are a little bit weak acid, so that's why we sometimes, for some cases, the acids takes a lot of time to dissolve. Some acids, not all, some acids takes a lot of time to dissolve. In that case, you may heat a little bit, okay? Excuse me. Add 20 ml of water, and this water is first is to dissolve, and secondly it is also to make sure that your probe is under the water, okay? Then you have done with the acid, and if we call this one as an A, solution A, and fill the burette with the 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide. So you have this, and you also have the burette what you already calibrated, okay? This is the burette, and fill this burette with your sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide, the one what you made, what we made last week. Can you remember? From 1 molar sodium hydroxide we made it's not 1 molar, it was maybe 2 molar sodium hydroxide we made 0.1 molar and 500 ml of sodium hydroxide. Can you remember that? That sodium hydroxide you normally store it, and that sodium hydroxide you will fill this with the your burette with that sodium hydroxide, and then you have to titrate with this, okay? So you have to titrate here. So this is A, okay, and this one is, if you call this one B, okay, you have to titrate it. Set the pH. Before titration you definitely have to set the pH probe, and you have to, you know, you have to do the calibration, okay? Two point calibration, as I showed you, pH 4 and for the pH 7 for 2-point calibration. Then you will start the titration. So there is a rules what I normally follow for the titration. The first thing is that all titration must be performed 3 times. As you see, as I think whatever the data I sent all of you already, in each case you saw that the titration is 3 times, okay, 3 values. So this is the 3 times. The first times you will titrate in 1 ml, for this case actually 0.5 ml difference, okay, until the pH goes up to 9, okay? So what's going to happen? So here, so these are the ml, okay? So you will keep adding in the difference, suppose 0.0 ml, whatever the pH, 0.5 ml, whatever the pH, 1.0 ml pH, like this you will keep adding, okay? And after certain point, and for the first one you should keep adding on that way, okay? So after the first titration, this is the first titration, okay? But for the second titration you have to find out the exact end-point of this, okay? 0.5 is not exact, but from this first one you know that the first equivalence point may be at 10.1, in 10.0 to 10.5 in between, okay? From here, from the first one, you know that the equivalence point is on that region, but you have to find out actually exact what volume the equivalence point appeared, okay? So to do that, you have to do the titration again with this amount of this gram of the unknown acid. You have to do the titration again, okay? So to do the titration again, what do you need to do? So this time you will keep adding till 8 ml. You see, you got the point at 10.1 to 10.5, okay? And you also know that you need the volume, you need the pH at the middle, okay? That means here it should be 5 around, right? So from 4 to 6, okay? Suppose first you have added 0.0 ml, 0.5 ml, then 1 ml, then 1.5 ml, then 2.0 ml, 2.5 ml, 3 ml, 3.5 ml, 4.0 ml. Then after 4, in between 4 to 6, you will keep increasing 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 by this way till 4 to 6 ml. Okay, then again after 6 it's also 6.5, 7.0, 7.5, 8.0. After 8, since it is going to close to this, after 8.5, okay, you have to find out the exact what point the pH is changing. So that's why you are going to add after 8.5, 8.6, 8.7, 8.8, like this way till the point like 11. It should be 11, like, because you got the point before 10.1 to 10.5. So it should be 11.0 till 11.0. You have to go with a very little increment of the sodium hydroxide. This should be this, and the same way. So this is for this part. Same for this part also. So this portion you should go with the 0.1 ml of increment, and here you also should go 0.1 ml of increment, because you need to find out exact what point the pH is going to change abruptly. Okay. So once you know this, so this is the first titration, this is the second titration. Okay. The first titration is basically to understand around what point the pH change happen. Okay. But second and third titration should be performed in the same manner. Okay. Should be performed in the same manner, and you will take the average of these 2 and 3. Clear? And these 2 and 3 should be very close to each other as well. Clear? So let's see how to do the titration, and you already know. So I am going to send you the data and with the post-lab questions. Okay.